So welcome once again to the Canada Specialist Program series. Our next update is with Fred from Lazy Bear Expeditions. So joining us from Manitoba, but Fred, you were actually in the UK recently, right?
I got back about 10 days ago after 10 glorious days in Chester, Manchester, London, and Oxford.
Yeah, nice one. Well, maybe anyone on the call, did you see Fred while he was in England? And if not, then here he is today. So Fred, thank you for joining us. Over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone again for joining us. Um, I'd like to just mention first that I am the global sales manager for Lazy Bear Expeditions, and we specialize in polar bear, beluga whale, and northern lights tours and adventures. Um, I will speak about all of that, but we have a better spokesperson here, which I'll show in a moment, who knows far more about the subarctic, Churchill, and Lazy Bear expeditions in the region than I do. First, I'd like to talk briefly about the region. Karen's already covered quite a bit of that. I'll just add that Hudson Bay is the world's largest inland sea, and it's the world's second largest bay. And our lodge is right on the coast of the western coast. And when the ice freezes from mid-December to June, this is crucial to polar bears' survival and how they hunt throughout the winter when they hunt for seals. It's also, I should add, it's both Churchill and the region is under the auroral oval in the northern hemisphere, which is why you can see northern lights 300 nights a year and why they're so vibrant in the area. And we'll see a lot of that as well. So let's talk about Churchill a little bit. Churchill is a small seaside village on the western shore, as I mentioned, of Hudson Bay. What's remarkable about it is that there's 850 people. But around Churchill, in the area, there's 1,000 polar bears and 60,000 beluga whales in the summer in the bay. There are 3,000 whales right near where we are, which is near the Churchill River estuary. Time magazine in 2023 listed Churchill as one of the world's greatest places. And it's also remarkable because it's right where three major biomes converge: the boreal forest, which is one of the largest forests in the world, the Arctic tundra, and the Arctic Sea. And as Karen mentioned, it is the polar bear capital of the world. Our lodge, we like to think of it also as a northern wonder. 90% of it was built from logs from two forest fires and local historic buildings. Even the glass is from an 1800s Hudson Bay trading post. We have 33 rooms, which can hold 66 guests. And a lot of, once you see the images, this has caused National Geographic Traveler magazine to list us in one of the top worthy hotels worldwide based on authenticity, location-inspired architecture, eco-stewardship, and giving back to the community. So here's what some of the rooms look like. The main picture there is of a meeting room where people gather, usually in the morning or at night. And we can have Indigenous storytelling and just having a lot of fun. You can see what the bedrooms are like. Again, everything from reclaimed logs and lumber. And it's really the epitome of a northern rustic log lodge. Our cafe has also won a lot of awards. It's a cafe restaurant where there is truly world-class dining. The menu is Indigenous-inspired. All of the greens that we serve come from our own farm about a half-mile down the road. So in terms of eco-sustainability, there's no food miles involved. All of the furniture in the restaurant is log furniture, reclaimed. And also, it's been listed the top choice of restaurants in Churchill by Lonely Planet. And Reader's Digest says it's where to find Canada's best cup of coffee, where we specialize in specialty coffees. So here's, in part, a very small part of the restaurant. Again, everything reclaimed, and that's a 20,000 pound Scandinavian stone fireplace. One of our signature meals, Arctic char, absolutely delicious, and everything again is indigenous inspired in terms of the menu. Just a few things on eco-sustainability. I've talked about food miles. We compost and return all waste to the soil. Our marina and dock are powered by wind and solar energy, and we're currently working on wind-generated electrical power for the lodge. Just a couple of things before I get into the tours and our expeditions. We're the only Manitoba company with an exclusive fleet of Arctic tour vessels certified by the Canadian Coast Guard and also certified as rescue vessels. We also have government-issued permits to get into the Churchill Wildlife Management Area, which is where we take our tundra crawlers, which you'll see, all of which are custom designed by our owner and then custom built. We specialize in everything from small groups to large, and we've been doing this for 35 years with expert guards and guides. Here's our newest ship, which is called the Matanabe, named after an indigenous guide way back from around the several centuries ago. It can hold 59 people, and then with a captain, 60. We use this craft to go up the western coast of Hudson Bay when we go looking for polar bears along the coast, where they gather in anticipation for the ice to eventually freeze. There they hunt, although mostly at that point in the summer and early fall, they're mostly looking for anything that's washed up on the shore, etc., because where they're really going to eat and hunt will be when the ice freezes. But they also rest there and explore, and they're just absolutely beautiful photography that can be done there. As far as our adventures, I'm going to get into each one. I'm going to cover the first part more in depth, and then because some of the itineraries are the same. But all of the tours include 2 nights in Winnipeg, pre and post adventure, all the nights at our lodge, round trip airfare between Winnipeg and Churchill, all the meals and beverages, and a shuttle service between the airport and lodge and luggage handling while in Churchill. Our ultimate bears and beluga summer adventure, I mentioned the Matanabe. It's a full-day boat tour along the west coast as we watch and photograph polar bears and surrounded by beluga whales in the sea and other wildlife. The beluga whale boat tour, which is another day, that's in smaller crafts, Zodiac rafts, and that's where we get up north and personal, as we say, where you can literally be feet away from pods of beluga whales that are, literally 3 to 5 feet away from each craft. There is a tundra tour on our iconic Arctic crawlers. As mentioned before, there's also a heritage tour, which covers all of the noted areas in Churchill, including our famous polar bear jail. Also, every night, weather permitting, there's Northern Lights viewing and photography, and beluga aqua gliding and kayaking. While it's optional, some of our tours it's included, and this one it's optional, but I'll show you in a moment what that's about. So here on this tour, this is typical of what you might see along the coast with the bears, and then of course in the bay with the whales. This is an example of several things. One, this is how people go out in a kayak, which we take them out in every day, and they're surrounded by the whales. There's 3,000 right where we are, and pods are usually 10 or more. You can see the kayakers on the left, the expressions. I actually was photographing all the kayakers last summer, and it was quite remarkable. On the right is beluga aqua gliding, where we take guests out on that rubber mat. They wear a snorkel and mask, and they put their heads into the bay and they sing to the whales, and the whales come right up to them, in some cases 3 or 4 feet from their mask, just to look at them. And you should hear what people say when they pull their heads out of the bay. It's just so moving. Journey to Fireweed Island, which is in August. This is an amazing tour. Anyone who wants to see all three, bears, whales, and the Northern Lights, this is when to do it. So we get on the Matonabee again, we go up the coast, but the difference here is it also includes a 3-hour trek on the island where we actually go trekking and looking for polar bears, of course, with a guide and guard, and we keep our respectable distance, but it's just an amazing, life-changing tour. I'll just add, and again, in this case, the aqua gliding, kayaking is included. All the other tours I mentioned are included, and then Northern Lights viewing. But we'll also have Duke University personnel there and myself to help people as a professional photographer learn how to take better wildlife and Northern Lights photos. And another important thing about Fireweed Island, it's the only place in the world where fireweed, purple fireweed, and polar bears coexist. Our ultimate bears and Aurora Arctic activity is in September. Now the bears are coming out more into the tundra. So there's Arctic crawler adventure. You also get a helicopter adventure where you can see all sorts of wildlife. Zodiac adventure, like I mentioned, small crafts in the bay, dog mushing, indigenous storytelling, and Northern Lights, of course, every night, and the Churchill Heritage Tour. We've created 2 new tours in honor of the solar maximum, which is coming this fall. The sun is changing. It's once every 20 years or so. It's changing its magnetics. And this year, especially this fall, will mark when Northern Lights intensity will increase worldwide, and especially where Churchill is under the auroral oval. So we're very excited about that, and we've retained 2 of the world's top solar scientists to be there for 3 tours in September to be a resource to our guests. So when you go out to see the lights, you'll have 2 of the world's leading authorities, and they'll also do some short presentations. Everything else that I mentioned would be included, but also an evening of bonfire, bannock, an indigenous bread, and indigenous storytelling around the bonfire. And I'll be there as well to help people take the best photographs they can. And again, almost every night in Churchill, this is what you see. But with the solar maximum this year, it will be even more vibrant. Our photo adventure is pretty much the same, except the scientists will not be there. I'll also be sending all of you complete itineraries on all of our tours, and you can see some of the landmarks we use when we take people out to see the Northern Lights. And these are some of the other characters that you'll see on the tours, depending on the tour and the season. Lastly, our Ultimate Polar Bear Tour, October, November. This is one of our, certainly our most heavily booked tours because it's when the polar bears are in prime season. It includes 2 Arctic crawler adventures, and it's again amazing. So you can see them in the water in the summer and on the tundra where it's rocks, etc., no snow. Then you see them with the beautiful fireweed in August, and then of course then with snow on the tundra. The Ultimate Polar Bear Adventure. It also includes dog mushing and our heritage tour. And so here's one of our crawlers. The bears, we talk about that up north and personal. They get right up to the crawlers. You can see what's going on. And with that, I'd like to thank all of you and appreciate this opportunity to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. I can see lots of emoji love. Here it comes coming in for you and those polar bears at the end there. Thank you. Amazing, amazing experiences, fabulous product.